And we are live. So today we're going to talk about Performance Max. I'm just waiting a little bit for everybody to come in. So I have Lucas, our head of marketing, sitting in the background, and he always says that this never works. And last time we actually did that, he says it didn't work, and I called him an utter amateur. So if anybody is out there, please throw a comment out that this is working. You can hear me jabbering at 6 a.m. over here in San Diego. Um, so yeah, I would just love to see that it is actually working, and we have people live. Outside of that, I always have to remind myself that there's a slight delay. So that's a lovely first comment, but excellent. It looks like it is working. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. So we're gonna talk about Performance Max and how to optimize this like kind of black box for Black Friday. And this is going to be a little bit funny because Black Friday is exactly a week away, and a lot of things will already have been started. So I like that we chose this time because this time we are able to actually be fresh in mind. This is what you have to do. This is how you're supposed to prepare. This is what you're missing. This is what we're supposed to be adding. And that's simply all those things we're going to go through today. So we're going to go through a lot of tactical stuff. So without further ado, can I click on the button? I cannot click on the button. I can click here. So just a quick intro to anybody who is not familiar. My name is Andrew Lulk. I'm the founder at Savvy Revenue. We've been running for the last 6 years across the Europe and the US. We work with about 40 active advertisers. I don't know why I write active, but we work across Europe and the US. I would say most of our businesses in Europe are around 80%, with 20% in the US. We have around 10% in the UK, we have around 20% in Germany, and then the rest is scattered in the Nordic countries. This means that we have a lot more insight than a typical agency has because we see what works in the US, we see what works in Denmark, we see what works in the UK, we see what works in Germany, we see what never works in Spain and France. And that way we can actually gather all these best practices and kind of figure out when people say something that's supposed to be working, why isn't that working in Denmark? Or why does it work in the States? Or why is there all this conflicting advice? And that's simply because there's just such a huge size difference sometimes. And that's some of the things we're going to go into today. So we're going to talk about preparing assets. This is a little bit late, but we're going to talk about preparing it. Anything I'm talking about today can also be used for future sales that we're going to run through. Um, I just wanted to make sure they're all good on all the comments. Excellent, we're good. Then we're talking about the ideal campaign structure. Then we're going to talk about what to do during Black Friday. We're going to talk about managing bids. How do we manage smart bidding? A lot of people will not do anything, which is a horrible decision. We're going to talk about what to do with performance on the day. How we're going to manage budgets. I fucked up last week, so I have some stories about that that is completely fresh in terms of U.S. advertisers that have been running Black Friday already now, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to do after Black Friday. What we're going to do is post questions throughout this entire thing. I've run like a million of these presentations by now, so please just post a question, and I'll look at them kind of across like every few minutes. If there's something relevant, I'll pull it up and we'll just do the question right then and there. Otherwise, we'll take them at the end. We've already gathered 8 questions that you guys have already posted, so that's lovely. So, without further ado, let's get into preparing assets. So the biggest question that I always have and that I get is like, should we run a full setup or shopping only for Black Friday? And I say this, and I've been very vocal on LinkedIn lately about this too. Don't change anything. Like if you're already running a full setup, then don't change back to shopping only, unless you have proof that whatever you're doing from a full setup isn't working. So if you have proof that your video spin isn't working, then shut it off. If you have evidence that your display isn't working, if you have evidence that search isn't working, then just turn it off. Then you can go over to shopping only, but don't change anything unless you have proof that it's not working. Because what I see a lot of advertisers have is that inside of PMax, especially the dynamic search ads aspect, works really well because dynamic search ads work really, really well for e-commerce, especially if you resell other people's product. You have a lot of products, then DSA is a really good type of campaign, and that lives inside Performance Max as well. So if you just turn that off because some idiot in a savvy revenue presentation says you have to only do shopping, you have to do shopping only, then you're going to leave a lot on the table. So don't change your setup unless you have proof. And the same thing goes if you're running shopping only today. There's absolutely no need to expand with assets because it's new. Google will not know how to use them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So don't change anything right now. And I wanted to mention one thing. So our presentation in Munich in February, no wait, March around PMax and what it's actually become and what it is and what it was supposed to be. And I love this tweet from the ads liaison, Ginny Marvin, who's absolutely excellent. But she wrote that that PMax focuses on the lower funnel, and I like that idea because one of the things that was that was talked a lot about when PMax came out was there was this full funnel campaign that's gonna go out and like, okay, it's gonna run display, it's gonna run video, it's gonna run search, it's gonna run discovery ads, it's gonna run Gmail ads, it's gonna run shopping ads, and it's gonna run dynamic retargeting and all these things. And it will run it, yes, but it's focused on the lower funnel. It's focused on demand capture. So that means that the assets that we're creating for PMax for situations like Black Friday should be focused around demand capture. So when we go in and we start talking about the different assets we're creating from a search ads perspective, it's the standard stuff that you always do, that you should be doing in the rest of your account. Again, Black Friday sale, save 30%. Biggest Black Friday sale live now, save 20% Black Friday now, etc., etc., etc. Remember to add countdowns, create them in advance, and then choose when to start them. You have this ability with countdowns to say 3 days before the countdown, that's when it's supposed to be shown. So remember to add those as well. Over here in the US, we have something that's called like you call Black Friday, you call it Black Friday Cyber Monday, and in marketing circles you call it BFCM. Can I please say never ever use that in an ad copy because nobody knows what it is. I started some ads for some US advertisers that are running the entire month, and we started out, I just blindly copied the assets that they had, and I was like, okay, we're just gonna make sure we have the biggest relevance between the ad and the landing page. So I wrote biggest BFM sale live now. This is the worst performing ad copy or ad asset that we had, and I changed it to Black Friday sale, save 30%, and it absolutely became the best performing asset immediately. So remember to do that. Then, and this is where we wanted to talk about this full funnel versus lower funnel aspect. Now that we come in here, then when you're adding your promotional like images or display banners in there, then make sure that you only do it. Let me just do something here. Make sure that you do it with a focus on this is demand capture. So in with the sale, in with whatever it is you're selling. Nothing cutesy, nothing anything like that. Focus on the sale and just hammer that away again and again. This is a Labor Day example, but when we then go into saying, okay, should you spend time on this? That's where I start going like, only if you've seen success with it. If you go in and we start looking at the video aspect, if you look at video aspects of this, I see agencies, I see in-house people that go in and they say, hey, we should be posting videos, so they get videos created for Performance Max, but they never show. They can show, they do show in some cases, and they do work in some cases, but don't just blindly go in and add video and image banners or spend a lot of resources on them if you're not sure that there's success with them. And that's what I kind of try to write here is like, try to go in and then make sure that, okay, we focus on putting the, let me see, can I remove me? No, I cannot. I'm just going to put me like this. Nah, that's also hard. I will do like this. So create product level banners if you only run a few products. If you're running thousands of products, it's absolutely impossible. You shouldn't do it. You can do it, and then store wide if you're running 1,000 or 100 or even 20 plus products. Then store wide images is what works the best, and category wide. If you've seen that there's enough spend going into display in the past for the Performance Max campaigns, then you can kind of create category wide. When I say store wide, it's like, for instance here, 20% off site wide. That's a store wide banner. That's a store wide image you can use if we're selling like jackets and polos and shoes, then 20% off shoes, 20% off polos, 20% off jackets. This is another two examples of banners, like something because so one of our brands that we work with is the one on the right, is the Pizza Steel, and this is actually the regular ad, just with a horrible little snippet where it says Black Friday sale. That can work really well. It doesn't have to be these elaborate focused images. Just slapping a small stamp on the regular image or regular product image and say it's a Black Friday sale can actually work really, really well. Then, of course, add the promotion extension like you do in the rest of the account. If you're running coupon codes, especially for UK and the US, then adding merchant center promotions, this is a little bit of a nightmare sometimes to work with. But if you are running coupon codes, this is definitely worthwhile because you get that extra highlight, 50% off or $30 off inside the actual shopping ad, and it can be very, very effective. Let me just see if there's any questions. Will this seminar be available to reread later? Yes, please don't leave though. Do you pin your Black Friday headlines? Yes and no. Technically, I don't think that you need to do it, but I also am of the idea, and you can see that in our regular Black Friday article and webinar on these things, that if you want, I don't add a lot of assets in the first place. I'll add 3 to 5 headlines top in any responsive search ad, including in Performance Max. And during Black Friday, I will usually only add 3 or 4, and they will all be Black Friday focused. So yeah. Okay, so campaign structure. So there's very, very few levers you can actually pull when it comes to improving the performance that you're doing in Performance Max. You can create better assets. You're supposed to do it, but it's like the majority of spend in Performance Max is shopping related, so it's the least impactful lever that you can actually pull. But if you're getting a lot of non-shopping traffic through display or video or search, then it's obviously a really, really good idea, and it's an area that you can optimize. Then you can change your ROAS target. Everybody knows that, no biggie, but it's worthwhile spending time on. Then you can change the budget. This is one of the surprisingly big things that I've seen lately. Is I've seen accounts where we've had let's say a $2,000 daily budget, and we changed it up to 5 or changed it up to 4, and from one day to another it started spending more. And it wasn't on display, it wasn't on video, it wasn't on search, it was more shopping inventory. So there is an aspect of throttling or limiting the amount of spend or exposure that your Performance Max campaigns have, even in shopping, even if you're hitting or above your ROAS targets, if you have a somewhat limited budget. So then it's still throttling it, which is weird, but it's something we know from back in the day that it also happened on regular before we started working with smart bidding. So budgets is one of those bigger things that we see this year, and we're going to talk about a lot more on that. And we can talk a lot more about that, how we can actually use that later. Then excluding products, I don't like it. I always think that products should go over in a separate campaign with just a low bid. But obviously, it's a lever you can pull if some products are just not performing at all. You can exclude them. Often this is variant related. And then the whole thing that we're going to talk about here is segmenting products and the campaign structure, because in my opinion, that's the biggest lever you can pull for Performance Max up to Black Friday. So what we're going to talk about is separating products out that are on sale versus regular price. This allows you to do three things. One, it allows you to set a budget for your products that are on sale. It allows you to bid higher for products on sale, and it allows you to see the ROAS difference for products on sale and regular price products, because there's several things here that are important to discuss. So what we want to do is we want to maximize the exposure of any product on sale during Black Friday because it's going to perform a lot better than normal. If we just go out and take our Performance Max campaign, let's say it contains 1,000 products, 900 are on sale. Almost every single store has exclusions. So 900 products on sale. We go in, we apply a seasonal bid adjustment. We'll talk about those in a minute. But we apply a seasonal bid adjustment that tells Google, hey, bid higher for these products during Black Friday, and it will bid for it in. You can only set that on a campaign level. So all of a sudden, you're also bidding higher for the products that are not on sale. Okay, so then usually what I hear is, okay, I'll exclude the products not on sale. That's not a good idea either because we run like 40-ish different advertisers. We have clients that don't run a Black Friday sale. And when they don't run a Black Friday sale, Black Friday is still the biggest day of the year. So that's what you have to also understand is that the products that aren't on sale will still do really, really well. So maybe on a regular, like on a product that's on sale, you want to increase the bid by 100%. But for products that are not on sale, you might just want to increase the bids by 25% or 50%. By creating two different campaigns, you can actually follow the performance on products on sale and not on sale and apply different budgets, different seasonal bid adjustments. Today is November 16th. You still should do this. This is by far, the biggest thing that you should do. And then remember, always move your lowest impact products. So in this case, it means if you have, let's say, 20, like again, you have 1,000 products, and 5 are on sale, move those out into a new campaign. If it's the opposite, if you have 995 on sale and 5 not on sale, move the 5 out. Move the lowest impact products or the lowest amount of products out of the campaign instead of just blindly saying, now I need to have a new campaign for products on sale. So I would like you to consider standard shopping for regular price products. Instead of using a Performance Max for on sale and a Performance Max for not on regular price products, then I would like you to consider using a standard shopping. So the reason for that is that the priority between, let me make myself a little bit bigger here so you can see my hands. So when you have a Performance Max campaign and a standard shopping campaign, the Performance Max takes priority. And what we want to do is we want to use that priority level to say if a product matches a search, if 2 products are matching a search, there's one on sale, one not on sale, we want to tell Google, show the product on sale first. If there's no matches for a search term in the Performance Max campaign, then you show a standard shopping campaign. So that's why we can use a standard shopping campaign for regular price products and actually get pretty far with that. So yeah, that's all. I had made such a fancy slide and I don't use it. That's what happens when you talk too much. So yeah, and then the last thing I want to talk about is the fallback campaign, which we're going to talk about on the next page. So before we talk about a fallback campaign, I've had this slide up for I think 4 or 5 different sessions over the last year, and I absolutely love it. It's the intention is to show that smart bidding isn't just bidding for search terms. So we have a case right now where we are behind on volume, and we're not getting like 3 or 4 or 5 conversions a day. We're supposed to get 100. It's a seasonality thing. It's an industry thing, but we can get set plenty of clicks. But when we put smart bidding on it and tell, hey, hit a ROAS of, let's say, 300%, it simply just throttles the traffic. So we're getting an average CPC of like around 6 or 7 kroner, but we're getting maybe 5 to 10 clicks a day. When we switch it to manual bidding and bidding 3 kroner, then we're getting 50 to 100 clicks a day. Smart bidding does this where it limits segments of your traffic. It doesn't just go in and say, okay, if you're not hitting ROAS, then we're bidding lower and lower and lower and lower until you hit your ROAS. No, it will go in and will take any bidding signal. If it's all like, let's say everybody's searching for a Nike shoe in Copenhagen, converts horribly, they will just shut that down and not show you anymore. but it'll still pay for high CPC for people searching for Nike shoes outside of Copenhagen. And it will play with all these segments to try to get you to a level where your ROAS is actually hitting. And it's completely opposite what we used to do back in the day with manual bidding, where we would just bid lower and lower and lower until we hit our ROAS. Smart bidding doesn't do that. And that's smart bidding is obviously still within Performance Max. And that's why we advocate a fallback campaign. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that, okay, Performance Max, if you're running Performance Max, is your primary campaign. That's where everything goes. That's where smart bidding runs. Everything is awesome. We do as much as possible to get something out of that. However, whatever segment Performance Max isn't bidding for actively, we want to make sure that we capture it. And that's where we say, okay, so we will have a setup that says Performance Max with products on sale. Then we'll have a fallback campaign in a high priority. That's all products on sale. We'll have a manual bid at 50% lower CPC than Performance Max, or even the same CPC as Performance Max. That's fine. But what we're trying to do there is we're trying to capture anything that PMax smart bidding isn't capturing. We want to say if we can bid, let's say, $1 in our fallback campaign for our products on sale and get traffic there, that means that Performance Max smart bidding is bidding lower than $2 or $1 for that segment, and that's what we're trying to capture. During Black Friday, this is a huge thing you can do. 3, 4, 5 years ago, one of the biggest things you could do was just eliminate your negative bid adjustment on mobile devices, because everything would perform better. It used to be a super nice trick. This is kind of the same thing. By going in and saying we always want to at least bid $1 on a fallback campaign, then it will swoop up. Yeah, let's just say swoop up. It'll swoop up all of the search terms that perform and segments that Performance Max is missing out on, and then you get your regular price standard campaign. So we've prepared for Black Friday. We have prepared the assets. We've segmented on sale price. We've created a fallback campaign structure. So when it comes to the day, that's what we're going to talk about next. So let me see if there's any questions that are relevant for this. We ran a geo holdout test for PMax with Google, resulting in lower ROAS than expected. In order to increase it, would you increase T ROAS bids? Yes. Do you suggest setting up a new Performance Max setup just before Black Friday? Not a new setup, but I would create, like I said, the on sale setup. Our fear is that if we set up higher T ROAS bids, Google would simply bid for potentially less incremental customers. That's going to happen. Like that's the whole spiel. If you want more control on that, it's standard shopping. That allows you for a lot more control on that. So during Black Friday, what to do? So conversion rates during a sale, everybody knows them. They go up. When they go from 2 to 3, 2 to 10, 1 to 1.2, doesn't matter. It's changed from every single store out there, but the conversion rate goes up. What doesn't go up is smart bidding. So this is smart bidding, and I wanted to do like in the US we have this like old ad like this is your brain on crack. And I wanted to do the same kind of bit where it's like, this is your brain, this is your bits on smart bidding. But I was voted down that was not supposed to, that would not be a good picture. So what happens with smart bidding is that it is a reactionary bidding formula. We cannot go in, it doesn't go in and know, hey, on Thursday at 6 p.m., you're starting your Black Friday sale, so conversion rates goes up. It's going to be nice when it can, because it can definitely do it. It crawls all your websites all the time. It crawls all our old ads all the time. So it could definitely go in and check, hey, now there's a sale. Now it's site-wide. We even feed it all the data in our product feed, so it should be able to get these things, but it doesn't. So we have to work with it. So this means that if you just leave smart bidding to be, then this is what it's going to do. So during the first, can I play a little bit here? Yeah, I can. So during the first stage here, on the first day where the ROAS goes up and the conversion rates goes up, Google doesn't know that yet. So it's just going to start bidding higher after the first 2 days, and it's a delayed effect. So that's something we actually normally want, because you don't want Google just to go woof, 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 like this on bidding. You want it to be pretty steady, but during a sale, we want it to go up a lot more. And that works against you during Black Friday, because it means that you're going to start out with a much higher ROAS than you're supposed to, and you're not capturing all the volume you could. And means that in the days after, you're going to have a lot lower ROAS than where you're supposed to be, and you're going to be and thereby overspending. So what you want to do is you want to work with seasonal bid adjustments. I still open up 90% of the accounts that we audit and work with in Savvy that have never used a seasonal bid adjustment. And this is from in-house teams, it is from agencies, and it is crazy. Seasonal bid adjustments is perhaps something our team does on a weekly basis at any given point in time for whatever reason. So, yeah. So seasonal bid adjustments allow you to tell Google, hey, we know that our conversion rates are going to go up. We know how much our conversion rates are going to go up. So this is how much we suggest that you should increase the bids during this limited time period. And hey, Google, don't use the data afterwards. So this is kind of, when we sit and we look at it, this is smart bidding without any intentional seasonal bid adjustment where we tell it, hey, bid higher during the sale period. This is seasonal bid adjustments. This is smart bidding. When we tell it up from, hey, we're going to see an increase in conversion rates. We're running a sale. This is how much we want you to increase our CPCs. So the way to set seasonal bid adjustments is completely opposite from the way that Google actually tells you to set them. So the way that the language is inside Google inside Google Ads is set the seasonal bid adjustment to what the conversion rate increase is that you're expecting. That's not true. You need to set the seasonal bid adjustment to how much you want your CPCs to increase, because you might see a 100% conversion rate increase, but you don't want to go from $3 to $6 in bids. You want to go from 3 to 4 or 3 to 5. So set it based on how much you want it to increase, and set it based on last year. You have all your data from last year, and I swear not enough of you do this. Go into your last year. I was just doing with a couple of in-house teams that we were sparring with yesterday, actually, where we say, okay, now let's go in and just review what happened during all of November, and then specifically Black Friday week. And we could see that last year they were running, this particular case, they were running a 5x ROAS Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday 4x, and Friday went down to 3x. And their bids were going up and up and up and up. And they simply just mistimed it. Their ROAS target is 3, which meant that they were underspending the first 4 days of the week and overspending on Black Friday. And it's something we see a lot. So go in, review what your CPC levels were last year, and go in and see how much your seasonal bid adjustments were last year if you were running them, how much were your ROAS, and then go in and say, how are we going to tweak this? How are we going to run it? So this is the way that the way that we kind of see it in Savvy, and this is the framework that we've given out internally. This is, of course, something you have to tweak for yourself, but overall, this is what we're seeing from a performance standpoint. Monday, Wednesday, we're seeing around 25 to 50% better performance than normal. So we'll set around a 25% seasonal bid adjustment. Thursday, it goes up 50 to 100% better. We'll increase the seasonal bid adjustment. Black Friday, we see much better performance. It's the last day people are starting playing with it. And so we'll pull in a seasonal bid adjustment of 100%. Saturday, Sunday is a little bit iffy for us. So we tend to start out really, really, we always plan to start from scratch on Saturday, because there's a lot of times where we've seen over the years that we will carry too much of our bidding from Black Friday into Saturday. So we start from scratch Saturday morning and gauge what is the performance, and then we'll increase throughout Saturday, Sunday, and then Cyber Monday. In the US is 100% to 200% better conversion rates than normal. In Europe, it's a lot less of a factor. Normally, Cyber Monday is just an averagely really good Monday. So be a little bit careful in Europe when you're setting seasonal bid adjustments. So when it comes to optimizing your seasonal bid adjustments, because that's the second thing that most people don't do, is they don't optimize and don't review them. So you have to do it throughout the week, 2, 3, 4 times a day, maybe even more. Go in, review your ad positions incognito, search for them, check out where you are, do all the things we're not supposed to do on a normal day, but check your ad positions, review ROAS on the day, review where your overall revenue, where your overall spend, where you're supposed to be, and then change your bid adjustment up and down accordingly. In order to review your ROAS per day, you need to have server-side tracking, or you need to have some sort of attribution software like Northbeam, Triple Whale. There's plenty of these tools that take over Google Analytics, where Google Analytics is leaving, because you can't use GA4 on the day. There's simply not enough. The data is 24 to 48 hours delayed. So if you're not being shown, or if you have low clicks, then increase your bid adjustment by 10 to 50 percentage points. You will end up at 100 to 2 to 300% seasonal bid adjustments if you're running aggressive Black Friday sales. So keep increasing if you're not getting enough clicks or enough volume. If you have a high ROAS but you're not in the number one spot, and you have a high ROAS, then you can increase your bid adjustment by like 10 to 25% percentage points, and just keep nudging your way up there and see how you're doing more and better and better and better. If you have a low ROAS on the day, you can decrease your bid adjustment by 10 to 25% of the day. When I say on the day, I mean Black Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday-ish. The idea should still be that you're not super profitable, and it depends a little bit on the business and targets and stuff like that. But if you're one of those that go out and really try to just hammer everything, then you need to understand that Friday is still the biggest demand capture day there is. It is much bigger than the other days, so you can be a little bit more aggressive Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But Friday, if you're low ROAS, if you're not hitting your target, you can't spend yourself out of a low target, of a too low ROAS. It's only going to get lower. Do not change your seasonal bid adjustment more than 5 times. If you need to, then create a new one. What we've seen over the years, and it kind of changes from year to year, it gets better, and maybe this year is not an issue. But when we start changing seasonal bid adjustment more than 3 to 4 to 5 times, then that's when we're seeing that it simply doesn't work anymore. The changes stop having an effect. A seasonal bid adjustment should be you should be able to see the effect of it immediately, like within a couple of minutes, maybe 5 minutes. You should be able to see what it happens when you search for your products or keywords in Google. So going over to managing budgets, this is something that's not so easy. This is my mentality. This is our mentality. We have an unlimited budget mentality. We go in and say, okay, increase all budgets by 5 to 10x across the board. We will never, ever be limited by budget, especially now that smart bidding is seeing it as a signal to throttle your traffic, to limit your traffic. So we go just hammer away. Boom, 5 to 10 times the budget. Do that on Performance Max, and you're just opening up the inventory to spend on display and in a display and video. And I did it last week. I have shopping only Performance Max running. Increased the budget from $1,500 a day to $5,000 a day, and we doubled in spend week over week. Got 0 additional conversions. I actually think we've got 5 less. It was a signal. Google saw it. I'm going to start spending more on that dynamic retargeting. I'm going to start spending more on like shopping ads, display banners, and other things like that. And it simply just wasn't profitable. So when you come to Performance Max, increase 50% at a time. So if you're running $1,000 a day, and you're kind of like spending around 600, 700, 800, 900 around that age range, up to 1,500. When you then start getting close to that again, 50% again. When you get that 50% again, so slowly just keep increasing, and that might mean that you need to go in and do it every a few times a day or every day or stuff like that. So be careful. So this is what I meant. Like when you're running a full setup, it becomes really hard because you don't want to see this. You don't want to see all of a sudden video go up and just spend a couple of thousand, if not more. And that's really the issue here. I had slides for all this. It would have been so pretty. But yeah, this is me showing what I just showed with my hands before. It's a necessity, but you just need to be careful not to have too much room. So yeah, after Black Friday, remember this thing? So we have conversion rate, it goes up, it goes down again. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are showcasing this to Google and telling them, hey, we're going to go down again. So that's where we're going to do two things. We're going to do seasonal bid adjustments and data exclusions. So the seasonal bid adjustments we talked about, it increases bids, it decreases bids. Data exclusion goes in and tells Google, during this period, don't use this data. Technically, Google says this is necessary. They've said it is necessary for years. I have still to this day not seen an account where we don't touch it afterwards, after we've had a seasonal bid adjustment, where it's still perfect. So I like to put in a data exclusion from Thursday to Monday. For some cases, if you're only running Thursday and Friday, if you're only running Thursday and Friday for your Black Friday sale, I'll only apply for Thursday and Friday. But the reason why I like to exclude data from that period is that products are selling, especially if you have a large inventory, then products are going to sell that normally doesn't sell. And you don't want to have Google using that data. That's where it gets wrong. It's not that conversion rates across the board goes up so neatly as I show it here. It's so nice, and then they all average go down. No, some products go from selling 0 to selling 100 or 1,000 units, and then it goes back to 0 again. So that's why we want to make sure that during this period we use a data exclusion, and we don't get any, and we don't use that data after Black Friday is over. Do not use data exclusion. I've had this question a lot. Don't use the data exclusion for all of November, because you're running all of November. If you've been running all of November, then Google have already learned. And then again, you just want to apply the data exclusion for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, to make sure that those like biggest days are taken out of the equation. Because the problem, if you're putting a data exclusion for the entire period, then you're going to run into not having any data for smart bidding to work based on. The negative seasonal bid adjustment that we thought I had a slide on, I do not. I like to have a negative seasonal bid adjustment, just again to be in a defensive position. So when we come out of the sale, we want to say, okay, now you need to decrease bids by 50% or 25% for like a week or 3 to 5 days. Ignore that advice completely if you're selling toys, if you are going in, if you're selling toys, if you're selling anything else like cookware, anything that's a good gifting product, and you see, and your December overall is a huge sales period for you overall, then do not apply a negative seasonal bid adjustment. Just go in and see how is the ROAS, and then you can adjust it from there. Do you need to decrease a bit, or is it fine just with data exclusion and the higher SVAs during Black Friday? So yeah, that was all we had on the prepared presentation. So we're going to go through questions now. Before we go through questions, I wanted to give you a little heads up that we are expanding in 2024, and for this reason, we are going in and saying, okay, for anybody in this webinar, anybody who's interested, if you want a fresh perspective going into 2024 and seeing what can we do better, I'll do a personal review of your account. It's not going to be an in-depth audit or any of those things, but I'm going to go in and say, these are 5 areas you can improve. Or I'll just tell you that you're doing great. There's nothing else that you can actually do. All you have to do is just give me access. We can do a 15-minute call or not. It's up to you, just to get a little idea for the account. And I'll deliver the report with 5 recommendations and a Loom video while we walk through it all. And we can do a discussion afterwards. This will give you a fresh perspective to see if there's anything that you're missing, any ideas. Like, are you running everything as well as you could? What would happen if you improved, if you could improve some things in the account? Because most of the things when we talk to new clients, it's that they don't know what they can do better. They don't know what they don't know, or they have an agency telling them just to wait on the data at all times. And as we've talked about today, there's so many things we can do. All these things we're talking about today, this is just what we have for Black Friday alone. So there are so many things that we can do to help Performance Max, that we're going to help setting regular setups up. There's so many things you can do in your Google Ads account today that isn't just waiting for Google to do better. So yeah, email me at andrew@savvyraven.com. Plus review, it's a little bit easier. There's no commitment, no payment, and there's a 5-day turnaround once we get out of Black Friday. So yeah, let me know. So Q&A. So Product analysis and segmentation. How the best do you do product analysis and segmentation to know what to advertise for? I am like the best way to do it is in your it's two places. Let me actually do it like this so I can use my hands a little bit more. Do. So is to do two things. One, you want to review your backend data and you want to review your Google Ads data. What many people ignore or don't know is that the data you see in Google Ads for product analysis is what's being clicked on, and then whether or not that click turned into a conversion. So if somebody goes in and clicks on a pair of Nike shoes and buys a pair of Adidas shoes, that conversion in Google Ads is going to look like they bought a pair of Nike shoes, but that's not how it works. Yeah, it's going to look like but they actually bought something else. So for product analysis and segmentation, then you should always look at your backend data in order to figure out how should you segment it out. I am of a big believer that, and for that reason, any type of margin-based segmentation typically doesn't work unless you have Nike shoes with a 50% margin and you have dog beds with a 90% margin. There's no overlap in search terms. There's no overlap in cross sales, so you can actually trust the data that you're seeing. But if you're having private label and reseller labels that you're selling, you don't know what they actually end up buying. So you have to always look at your backend data to do any sort of product analysis. So reacting to Black Friday, how do you best react to Black Friday and limit losses due to overperformance or overspend? I believe it's supposed to be. So like I mentioned, Google Analytics is gone. We can't see performance on data on the day. We can't, and that's what we used to do. We used to sit and have Google Analytics update every 15 minutes, and then we kind of get an idea of what the ROAS is based on click data. We don't have that option anymore. There's three different ways to do it. One is, and this is what I recommend most people doing these days, is going out and get an attribution tool. Get somebody who updates their data daily or daily, actively based on UTM tags. You get click data, and that's all you need for Black Friday overall. The second thing is that you can overall go in and see if you have server-side tracking in Google Ads. It is pretty quick these days. It's not like the old days where you had to wait 24 hours for the data to come. It's a couple of hours delayed, but it's overall pretty good, especially on Black Friday, because you don't really have anything where you say there's a delay. Like people are clicking today or maybe by tomorrow or a week from now or 2 weeks from now. That doesn't happen on Black Friday, so you can a lot more depend on the in-channel tracking if you have server-side tracking because it's a lot faster. The last thing I'd say is like you can pull in, but it's too late now in my opinion. But overall, using like a BigQuery setup where you can actually pull out the GA4 data and get some sort of sense of what the performance is on the day. The last thing, maybe the fourth option is, and we do that for some of our clients where we haven't been able to set up those dashboards or set up new attribution tools, is to set up simply just a sheet where we say, this is the total revenue in the business. This is how much we're spending in Google, how much we're spending in Facebook. And then we know that that target with the spend in Facebook and spend in Google should be around 15% of overall revenue. And that gives us an idea, should we spend more, should we spend less on the day? So that kind of gives an idea. That gets updated manually 3 to 5 times a day. That's another way to do it. And we'll do it on maybe 10 of our clients this year. So it works. Standard shopping versus PMax. Did you change your theory, opinion, that standard shopping works better than PMax? So no, I will still go in and vouch for the fact that standard shopping is a better tool if you know what you're doing. PMax is just a black box. As of today, there's nothing in the algorithms that are prioritizing PMax or doing anything there. And for me, as a Google Ads specialist, this is all we do. This is all I do. I know how to set up a dynamic retargeting campaign. I know how to set up a demand gen campaign. I know how to set up a video ad campaign. I know how to set up a dynamic search ads campaign. I know how to set up overall search ads, and I know how to segment and use Google Shopping. I have some abilities in Google Standard Shopping that I really like the ability to apply a portfolio strategy so you have minimum and maximum bids. There are several of these things that I think are just so much easier to do from standard shopping. We have the different priorities, so we can help say, okay, these are bestsellers, show those first. So if you have 100 different shoes, show our bestsellers first when somebody search for the generic keyword shoes. There's so many different avenues you can actually pursue with standard shopping. With that being said, if you don't pursue them, then I don't have a problem using PMax. And we also have clients in Savvy where we don't, where we're actually actively pursuing PMax, but in all cases, it is shopping only. We do not at this point in time buy into any form of full setup, and the reason being that we, if we go out to a client and say, hey, you need to spend X amount of hours setting up videos, for instance, and we can't control how much spend goes into them. Have you ever opened a YouTube campaign and see how much crap is in there, from mobile apps to kids channels, etc. Now with engaged view conversions, I opened up a B2B scaffolding. It's like, yeah, it's a B2B e-commerce site, and they had spent, I think it was $50,000 a year on YouTube with zero click conversions. What was happening was that it was engaged view conversions, and an engaged view is somebody who watches 10 seconds of a video and then ends up converting. However, this is a B2B website. They sell things for construction sites, and they were on kids channels, massive amount of conversions, engaged view conversions. So the system was spending more and more on those. But let's just think it through. Does somebody on a construction site watch a kids channel and see, oh, that's an amazing ad, let me go buy some construction equipment from this site? Or was it the kid that used dad or the mom's phone, watched that video, forgot to click skip, and watched it, and then the dad bought it anyways, or mom bought it anyways? Yes, that's what happens. And once you know these things, once you see what happens in the individual campaign types, the same thing happens with dynamic search ads, same things with display, YouTube, etc. Once you've seen all the mistakes that happen in the campaigns, and once you know the Performance Max as a whole is just those campaigns lumped together, it's the same engines, it's all the same. It's just lumped together into one interface where you can put in the assets once and not have to create multiple different campaigns, multiple different budgets, and all that stuff. Once you know that, then you don't really see a reason why should I be putting it all into a black box. How can you warm up PMax? Is it worth creating targeted audience for signals to guide PMax during Black Friday, Cyber Monday? No, it is not. Google doesn't use it. The only reason to use signals is when you're starting a new account. New campaign. Then you can sell Google. Then it's going to look at the audiences that you're adding and start its spend there. And then it's going to move over to outside of the audience that you provide. Any audience that you're applying to PMax or any campaign that uses smart bidding is basically useless outside of starting the account up. It's the same thing with the search themes that just came out. People came out and were like, wow, now we can actually nudge it towards this. No, it's only initially, it's only when you're starting the campaign out, it's going to focus there, and then it's going to start broadening out. So it can be a great way to get campaigns started. But if you're running an existing PMax campaign, spending, let's say, $50,000 a month on it, there is an audience that doesn't know, and it's not going to go in and say, oh, now you added handbags as a signal. Now I know that you're selling handbags. No, it already knows you're selling handbags because you're selling handbags and can see it in the feed, can see in the search terms that your product's being matched with. It already knows this. It's completely unnecessary to do, and it will bid for all these things, all these audiences. It will bid for behind the scenes in its smart bidding capabilities. You don't have to add it. The one thing you have to add as audiences to PMax and anything you do in search in Google today is first party data. Emails, enhanced conversions, converters, and retargeting lists. So anything for GA4 and stuff like that. Do you use Performance Max in non-shopping countries? No, I do not. That would basically just be a hidden dynamic search ads campaign, which isn't necessary until Google shuts down dynamic search ads, which they're kind of hinting at, in which case we'll find workarounds. What about shopping feed only Performance Max campaigns? Product feed only, no other assets. Do you see how do you get a proper consistent performance? Kind of the same things as if you have assets. Like it's You have to be careful with increasing bids too much. You have to be careful with increasing, lowering targets too much. You have to be careful with increasing your budgets too much. So be careful with them. Use segmentation, and then it's pretty good. So I have a couple of extra questions. Do you have any tips for how to reduce sudden jumps in inefficient spend towards search and display? It jumps out of the blue and we tend to overreact with bit changes to account for it. Nick, that is the exact reason why you should probably move over to standard shopping. Because it stops that. When we have very large accounts and they're all of a sudden on over a couple of days spend $5,000 to $10,000, and we're charging $10,000 to avoid stupid mistakes, that it makes us look bad, and it's just a waste of money, and it loses that stability that you're supposed to have when you're running search. So in my opinion, if you're seeing that and it's becoming an issue overall, switch over to standard shopping. It can be done. We run huge accounts on standard shopping, and it works really, really well. Henning asks, is the T ROAS on our standard level during whole Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or is it adjusted? I don't know what adjusted means, but you are running it throughout the whole Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Would you add a data exclusion for a 2-week sale like we talked about? No, I will not. I will only add Black Friday, Thursday to including Cyber Monday, just to get the worst data off. Otherwise, you're removing half the data that Google primarily uses for your bidding. Tiago says, you said it's important to add first-party data as a signal for Google Ads. Do you mean adding it to the account level or as a targeting in the campaigns? As targeting, it would remarketing, right? You need to add it to the campaigns for Google to use it. It will not. Google and Smart Bidding will not use your retargeting list or customer list as signals for Smart Bidding unless you add them to the individual campaigns. It's just like there's for many years there's been like this theory or conspiracy theory that if you that certain what's the theory again? Yeah, Google doesn't use any conversions, for instance, conversion actions that you upload, but don't set as primary. And there's these like theories that they do that they don't, because that would be ridiculous. And the same thing here, it doesn't know what it should upload in order for it to actually be successful, or use for it to be successful. So you need to use it to the campaigns as targeted audience, but it has to be like set to observation and not set to targeting. Just clarifying that part. Petles asks, how applicable are these tips when using product bucketing several PPM campaigns with different index to relieve our setup as it is in this case? I would probably leave it. Depends a little bit how many products you put on sale, because let's say you're running 10 different campaigns, which please have a very, very good reason for doing that. Most of the time I see it, I actually see people are over segmenting their PMAX or shopping campaigns, and there's really no reason to. But how applicable it is if you're let's say we're running 10, and it depends how many products are on sale versus not on sale. If 999 out of 1,000 are on sale, then I would not change anything. Then it's not worth it. But if 100 products out of 1,000 is on sale, then I would still somehow segment it out. But in that case, I would take the products on sale, move them in a different campaign. Unless you're expecting those 100 products will do 50% of the revenue, then I would move out the rest. So that's the whole question there. Patrick asks, would you still add new customers from Black Friday to your customer match list? Yes, unless you know that there's some kind of different customer lifetime value on them. But overall, I wouldn't go into the detail of removing that. Rasmus asks, for tracking conversions in Google Ads, would you use AW tags or GA4 in Shopify or your commerce store? AdWords tags. So that's the Google Ads in-channel tracking. I will die on the hill that you need to use whatever tracking method gives you the most data, and the tracking method that gives you the most data and that's best for you is Google Ads tracking with set up from a server-side perspective. Yeah, That gives you the most data. That gives the smart bidding the most data to work with. It's not an attribution talk. It's not about this is how much gets accredited to this and this and this. That's not a conversation I want to have here. I want to give smart bidding the most amount of signals to say this is where you're supposed to be bidding. And if I go in and I say I take away 20% of the conversions because they are accredited to email and GA4. GA4 is better than Universal Analytics everywhere with this, but just from a theoretical standpoint, Google Ads conversion tracking using enhanced conversions, server-side setup will always have the most amount of data, unless there's some attribution behind the scenes in GA4. But from Google Ads tracking at all times. If you're sitting today and you have Google Ads tracking and you have GA4 imported to the account, and you're seeing that GA4 runs the most amount, has the most conversions, then GA4. So you want to chase whatever gives you the most amount of conversions, but I would figure out why the heck is Google Ads tracking showing less conversions. Tiago, when changing from PMax to standard shopping, does the attribution of standard shopping campaigns better or worse than PMax? I'm trying to run standard shopping in parallel with PMax and it's worse. So you can't run in parallel. You can't do it. You can do the experiments. I don't trust Google's experiments. If anybody has, can I do this actually? Oh, that's cool. Well, let's do that instead. When changing from PMax to standard shopping, does the attribution of standard shopping campaigns better or worse than PMax? I'm trying to run standard shopping in parallel with PMax, and it's worse. So you can't do the experiments. Google will say you can, but if anybody's been following the lawsuit over here in the States, you're seeing that they are just absolutely monsters when it comes to transparency. So I don't trust it. I don't trust that they don't throttle it. I don't trust that they wouldn't skew some of the results 5% more to PMax or 5% less. That's going to give a huge difference even if they just did it at that level. So I don't trust the numbers. I don't trust it at all. It's not the same campaign type either. Like until Google comes to me and says, and we have lovely account reps. I love them. Damodar's amazing. Until they come to me and show me this is how PMax does better from a shopping perspective than standard shopping, and this is why we've been working on this cool algorithm for the last 2 years, and Andrew, it's amazing. And we've just decided not to put that into our regular smart bidding algorithm because of what? Because of, like, why? Because e-commerce is the only thing in the world. Like there's so much spend. Like the travel industry, or was it Expedia spending 10 billion over the last 10 years or something like that? Like blowing out even some of the bigger Google Ads advertisers in e-com. So they have so much riding on smart bidding still being effective. So I just can't see a world where smart bidding, where the performance max bidding algorithm gets worked on and the smart bidding algorithm is just left alone and become inferior. The better this is, the better everything will do. So I don't like it. So in order to change from PMax to standard shopping, you just have to make the change. What we kind of advocate for people who don't change these things all the time, take half your products, take 20% of your products and switch over. But there's no attribution thing. That's wrong. The only thing that can change there is that if you're having a lot of display retargeting in your PMax, and standard shopping will not catch that, and some other things. Henning meant, should we keep our T-ROAS the same over the period, or should we play with it in some way? Did I forget that slide? That's a very good question. You should under no circumstances change your ROAS over the period, because Google look at, if you go into Google Ads account, then you're seeing that it shows you an average target ROAS. And the reason why it shows you an average target ROAS is to show you what it's working on. So if you had if you're working on if you have a 5% target the last 30 days and you change it to 1,000, then the average target ROAS on the first day will not be 1,000. It'll be 500. And the next day it will be 510, and then it'll be 530, and it'll be 550. And I know my math is wrong, but it's going to increase and increase and increase. That's how Google sees an increase in or a change to your target ROAS as how it's supposed to be bidding. So you can't use and change T-ROAS over a period like Black Friday and expect to see any results. That's why changing your ROAS target should only be done with the longer term Outlook or in a couple of other cases, but not for Black Friday. Last questions from Tiago, and everybody, if you have any more questions, just put them in the chat. I will still sit here until we're done with questions, or until my voice leaves out, or I have to go to the bathroom because it is 6 a.m. So you had a fair point about enhanced conversions being easy to achieve. Just lowering the conversion windows to its minimum days possible, or not needed. Not needed. Again, we go back to the whole thing where, and again, it's we have some beliefs, and the way that we work with Google Ads in Savvy is that we have this flywheel of things that we believe, and each thing in that flywheel will help the other aspect. For instance, we believe smart bidding, and overall the algorithm bidding in Google is better than manual. In order for that to work, we need to give it as much data as possible. In order for that to work, we need to make sure that the conversion window is as long as possible. In order for that to work, we need to have enhanced conversions. In order for that to work, we need to have server-side tracking. So we have this flywheel around smart bidding, and we have the same thing works in terms of how we structure campaigns, how we do with responsive search ads. So if we say A, we also say B, we also say D, we also say E, F, G, etc., etc. So we believe that if you believe in one thing, then you should focus your entire flywheel around that, and that's why. Again, if I say we need to get as much data as possible, we need to have the largest conversion window within reason, like 30 days, 90 days. But again, if I'm selling a $30 item, 90 days is ridiculous. But 30 days is good. Yeah. If there's no more questions, then I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming today. And we hit the hour mark on the nose. If anybody sits on Black Friday or during next week and have questions, then I am on Twitter. I am on LinkedIn. And this thing is being recorded and will be posted live. And we'll send it out to everybody. So yeah. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.